King Judah, L-I-T. Get lost in translation, it's the land of confusion. Eyes blind, mind full of pollution. We're lost in translation, lost in this nation, since we came out for the slave ships. Welcome to the Lost in Translation podcast. I'm your host, King Judah. I'd like to thank you for joining me. This podcast is available on soundcloud.com/Lost in Translation podcast. It's also available on YouTube and Facebook if you just search Lost in Translation podcast. This is episode number 4. On this episode, I'd like to discuss slavery and if slavery actually ended. Now, a lot of people credit Abraham Lincoln for ending slavery in the late 1800s. I don't. What happened was Abraham Lincoln, he signed the Emancipation Proclamation, and a lot of people believe that freed blacks, or blacks in Hispanics, or those who were enslaved in America at the time. But a lot of people look over the word emancipate. The etymology or the origin of the word emancipate comes from the Latin word emancipatus, which means to transfer property from one owner to another. So blacks wasn't freed, they were transferred from one owner to another. That owner being the individual to the state. Emancipation Proclamation did not abolish slavery, but more so reconstructed it. In the 13th Amendment, signed February 1st, 1865 by Abraham Lincoln, says, "Neither slavery nor involuntary servitude, except as punishment for crime, whereof the party shall have been duly convicted, shall exist within the United States or any place subject to their jurisdiction." So a lot of people believe the 13th Amendment freed slaves, but because it said neither slavery nor involuntary servitude should exist in the United States or any place subject to their jurisdiction. But they have this nice little piece in here where it says, except as a punishment for a crime. So basically all they had to do was figure out how to make these people seem like they were committing all these crimes so they could put them in prison. So what happened in between 1865 and 1866, the Black Code laws were passed. The intentions of these laws were to restrict so-called blacks' freedom and force them to work in a labor economy based on low wages or debt. The Black Codes allowed local authorities to arrest so-called blacks for minor infractions and commit them to involuntary labor, aka the beginning of mass incarceration. So because of the 13th Amendment saying slavery couldn't take place unless as a form of punishment for a crime, they passed the Black Code laws. And some of these laws were like ridiculous to the point like if a black man, if you didn't have a job, they would arrest you. You would be put in jail and then you were made to work for free. So the slavery end? Well, according to the Emancipation Proclamation, no, because it was just a transfer of the property. And the 13th Amendment did not free slaves because slavery could still be used as a form of punishment. And then the Black Code laws made it where blacks could be arrested for anything. I'm going to go into scripture and further prove my point that we are still in captivity. Joel 3:6 says, "The children also of Judah and the children of Jerusalem have ye sold unto the Grecians, that ye might remove them far from their border." And Baruch 3:8 says, "Behold, we are yet this day in our captivity, where thou hast scattered us, and for a reproach and a curse, and to subject to payments, according to all the iniquities of our fathers, which departed from the Most High our Elohim." And Deuteronomy 28:65 through 68 says, And among these nations shalt thou find no ease, neither shall the sole of thy foot have rest. But the Most High shall give thee there a trembling heart, and a failing of eyes, and a sorrow of mind. And thy life shall hang in doubt before thee, and thou shalt fear day and night, and shalt have none assurance of thy life. In the morning thou shalt say, with Elohim it were even. And at even thou shalt say, with Elohim it were morning. For the fear of thine heart wherewith thou shalt fear, and for the sight of thine eyes which thou shalt see. And the Most High shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships. And if you go to Exodus 22, it explains what Egypt means. It means house of bondage. Exodus 22 says, I am the Most High thy Elohim, which I brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. And back to Deuteronomy 28:68 says, and the Most High shall bring thee into the house of bondage again with ships, by the way whereof I spake unto thee. Thou shalt see it no more again. And there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you, which means to save or redeem. Jeremiah 50:33 says, thus says the Most High of hosts, the children of Israel and the children of Judah were oppressed together, and all that took them captives held them fast. They refused to let them go. So, as it says right there, they refused to let us go. Like, we're still here. We're still in America. This is still the land of our captivity. In all the other captivities, when the slaves were freed, they go back home. We are still here. And they refuse to let us go. Try to leave. It's not easy. I'm going to end this with Joel 2:27. It says, and ye shall know that I am in the midst of Israel, and that I am the Most High, your Elohim, and none else, and my people shall never be ashamed. So yeah, even though we're in captivity, and we're going through some harsh times, it's a reason for it. I mean, it goes back to our forefathers breaking the commandments. But we're still here. We're still in slavery. So slavery never ended. There is no Juneteenth or whatever. We're still slaves. This is modern day slavery that is, as I said earlier, reconstructed it. Anyways, this is a Lost in Translation podcast. I'm your host, King Judah. Thank you for joining me.
Time ticking, my mind thinking, we all sinking. The more knowledge we seeking, the blood stay leaking. Standing the pavement, we harbor the anger, they harbor the same feelings. Peep the picture I'm painting, two brothers like Cain and Abel. Esau and Jacob, one hated and one favored. They want them tired and jaded. 400 years we made it, standing strong and they hated. The wisdom written is sharper than the tooth of a saber. We coming, we greater. They brought us here, now they can't escape us. Obadiah warn ya. It's written on the paper, the sword stay sharp. Watch the lion bring the eagle down from the stars. The justice system is set up to strip a nigga down to his jaws. Got him locked up for nothing, the prosecutor bluffing. Cops steady busting at us, weak investigations. They never cuff them, we're gonna get it right. The time is ticking on them, ticking on them, ticking.